Test.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Where are those speakers at? So I should be pretty okay to walk in front without getting feedback. Okay.
That's 1, 2. Yeah. Woohoo. Okay, for those of you online and those of you here, welcome. And we're going to go ahead and get started. This is exciting, you guys. I'm part of part of me is a pyromaniac, and so I've lit enough things in my life that my family's just like, oh man. And there was one time, you've seen those little, you've seen those on the side of the road, the marshes and everything. They got those leaves like cattails with all the cool little stuff. Well, we grabbed a bunch of those and we put them in my house and all dried out and everything for probably years. And it was over by, in the living room. And I thought, I wonder if I could just light a little bit of that on fire and see how quickly it burns. It burned very quickly. And the whole thing, the whole thing went from a little tiny bit of a flame to And I'm like, oh no, and I'm knocking it down as a little kid and trying to stop it out. And even, until the day we left our house, there was this big black mark in the front just from my beautiful, wonderful stuff. Now that's not counting everything else we lit on fire. Okay. We put what is it, those smoke bombs in our little mailbox, and my mom went and saw the smoke coming out of the mailbox, and so she went in there, oh no, and she almost burned herself, and everything else is dumb. But till the day we moved, the mailbox was all rusted where it burned the mailbox, and it just was in the. So we've had some pretty interesting things. So I've spent many years repenting as a fireman. Okay. And these people can relate because you guys probably went through a lot of the same stuff as us. But today we have Casey Putcher and we have Don Buckley, who is from Draper, aren't you? Yes. Draper Fire Marshal. And it's super exciting to have a fire marshal here to give us some really awesome experience and some insights, but also to brag a little bit about Casey. Casey is actually the trainer of trainers, right? He is the one who went and taught my fire station where we were down in Morgan, and he taught us how to put out fires better and quicker, the right way, stuff that we didn't know. I mean, here we are trained as firemen, and he came in and taught us stuff we didn't know. Okay, and he trained, we did a big old fire with all these pallets and everything else, showed us how to put it out. And it was just really cool. So we have a lot of experience between these two. I might interject once in a while, but we're going to turn over to time. But welcome them.
Thank you, Marcelo. It's always good to hang out with Marcelo. He does a lot of cool stuff. And he is great at starting fires. I do remember when we were up there. Yeah, it was a pretty good
That's
time.
good to know. As I'm a fire investigator. So, and I used to start fires, so I had to start fires to learn how to investigate them. So
That's how you get good at it.
yeah.
They don't ask that question when you're at the academy, though. They're like, we know you did that. We're not going to.
There's not a fireman out there that I know that hasn't started fires at one point in time.
Yeah.
With magnifying glasses and all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah.
you got to see how things burn.
Yeah.
So
I was actually waiting for a fire marshal with a different fire marshal, and we decided to light stuff on fire in a big dirt lot in Bluffdale.
how'd that work out?
It worked out great.
That's good.
I'm a professional, And I don't hold the city liable if I screw up. It's all on me. So
True, but
you've
fire
got all of
fire
that.
does run in your family.
Yeah, that's where my hair went.
Well, yeah. His sister, I found out. I've known Casey for a while, and I met his sister, and she is a stunt person. And when they got married, right, they set each other on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. To walk down the aisle.
It was pretty cool.
It was great video.
I wasn't
right?
going to do it, but it was pretty cool. I mean, I helped set it up, but yeah.
You had to be there to help put her out. Good thing you like your sister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. All the practices beforehand. Once you've done it like, 10, 12 times, something like that, before we'd actually done the real thing, it was like, so wait, we're going to do what? And you want me to put you out after I light you on fire? Okay. It's like being kids again. Yeah, we did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I never did anything like that, but
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thought about it.
It was New Jersey.
Thought about it. Well, yeah,
come on.
So, all right.
Aren't any rules
Now you
there.
let into it. So let me introduce myself. Don Buckley, Draper City Fire Marshal. I am not from Utah. I'm from back east. I was born in Georgia, and I grew up in a little town in New Jersey called Wildwood. And when I say little town, it's 5 miles long. During the winter months, we have maybe 3,000 people on the island. During the summer, we have 1.5 million that come through. Little tourist town. And I got my start in the fire service at 15 years old as a volunteer firefighter. My whole family's police officers. And when my grandfather asked me why I joined the fire department, I said, because I know what I'm responding on. Unlike you responding. People shoot at you. They don't shoot at me. They like when I show up, even on their bad day, right? So I've been in the fire service for a long time. I've seen a lot, and I've done a lot. And when I met my wife, she's from Utah. She came out to New Jersey for a summer, met me, and decided that she wanted to keep me. So she brought me out here. And we live over in Riverton, and I love Utah. I miss my ocean, and I miss my Jersey Shore. but I don't want to go to California to have the mountains and the ocean, so I'm good right here. But I've been with Draper City 2 separate times, 15 years with Unified Fire, and then when Draper broke off and started their own fire department, I've been with them now. They've been around for 6 years. I've been with them for 5. So I've been back in Draper. I've been in Draper for about 20 years. And no, the houses sliding weren't my fault.
You knew about them ahead of time.
Well, we knew that they were breaking up, yes. But then they literally broke up.
Yeah.
And but that's only part of the job. The other part of the job is educating folks on fire safety, right? And there's many aspects of that. From what we're going to talk about tonight, Casey's going to talk about extinguishers and stuff. And then I'm going to talk to you about some other stuff that we do in the fire service, a program that I started in Draper that not every city has, but I'm pretty proud of it because with Casey's help, I was able to get it up and off the ground. And you good to start rolling into this?
Yeah, you want to start with this?
Yeah, I'll start with there, right there.
We're on the screen.
So, how many of you know about fire sprinklers and how they work? A little bit? I see a few hands going up here and there. Okay, so somebody tell me, if you have a fire and you're in a fire sprinklered building, how many sprinklers go off? No, that's the Bruce Willis effect. It's just the one where the fire's at. So Hollywood has done me no favors, right? If you get up there with a lighter, you will set one off. You will not set the entire building off. Why? Because there's a little globe, and we'll show you some pictures here shortly, that sits and holds the water back. Sometimes it's a bulb, sometimes it's a piece of metal called a fusible link, and they melt or break at certain temperatures. So smoke doesn't set sprinklers off. So I have certain homes that have fire sprinklers in them. Not every home does. I'm not a proponent, although I sit on the Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition as the chair, and we educate folks about home fire sprinklers. I'm not a proponent for putting them in every home. Why? Because if you live in a 3,600 square foot home, it doesn't necessarily need sprinklers, but I'm not opposed to you putting them in. They're more geared towards the homes we build today. The average size home in Draper is 6,200 square feet. Draper is going to have the largest home in the state of Utah here in the next 6 months. It's 56,000 square feet. One family lives in it. And they will have fire sprinklers in that house because it's about the size of a commercial building. Next to the 6,200 square feet homes, I have 10,000 square feet, I have 15, and I have 25,000 square foot homes. Those homes need fire protection. We protect our investment. The sprinklers are there to help get you out of the house. And it's better when you build a home, when you're in the process of building, to put them in then than it is, because I get asked all the time, well, can I put them in my house now? You can, but it's a little more expensive, right? Because you got to tear sheetrock out to get them run up above the sheetrock. Or some folks have run them below the sheetrock with copper, and they look really nice, done up the correct way. Oh, you forgot to plug your computer in?
It would have been fine for a minute.
Oh, okay. But you see, we both go to the same barber too. But sprinklers are there to save lives. And the misconception is just that they all go off. And it's only going to be in the room where the fire is. So if you have a fire in your house and you don't have fire sprinklers, how long do you think it's going to take to get back into your home? Long time. Give me a time frame. Ooh, 6 months too short. Try 2.5 years. By the time you get the insurance company to go through everything they've got to go through, reimburse you for stuff that you lost, then you got to tear the house down. You got to have a permit for that. Then you got to get a permit to rebuild the house. And that takes time. Each of those are probably about 2 months to get by the time they're all done. Then they start building the home. So by the time you're done, Between 1.5 to 2.5 years is what we normally see, depending on how much fire damage is in the house. With fire sprinklers, I can have you back in the house in 72 hours. You may not be able to use that room where the fire was, but we have folks that we work with called restoration companies, and they come out and they can restore what you think couldn't be restored. My in-laws had their trailer catch fire. My mother-in-law had all her Tupperware. When they made Tupperware, she still has it. And she still has it, even after the fire. It had smoke damage. You could still smell smoke. We gave it to one of the restoration companies. They have the ability to pull the smell of smoke out of plastic. You can't tell that they were in a fire. So there's things, technology nowadays is amazing with what they can do with these restoration companies. So they can restore what you think maybe can't be restored. So are sprinklers a good thing? Yes. Should we all have them? I'd love for everybody to have them. But in our state, that's a big taboo. And so we have to use them sparingly, and we use them for what we call trade-offs. So when we have big subdivisions that have limited access, we use fire sprinklers. Let's go ahead to the next slide.
Wait, let me try the button.
Okay. So this video is gonna show you a side-by-side burn. And I actually have a trailer set up similar to this. Did you turn it on?
No. You got more than one button?
Yes, see? On. The fire marshal knows how to work it.
You millennials.
We make a great comedy team. This side-by-side burn trailer is similar to mine. One room has one fire sprinkler. The other has none. So, I want you to watch this video and see what happens. What did you do? Pause it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep the volume.
Volume's good.
Doesn't go big.
No, you're good.
Here are two identical rooms, both 8 by 8 feet, set up with the same furniture and accessories found in a typical living room. The only difference is the room on the left is protected with a residential fire sprinkler. The room on the right is not. Imagine each of these rooms is part of a larger home as we set fire to both of them. First, the room without the fire sprinkler. The fire is set by igniting newspaper in a trash can through a hole in the back wall. This is like a burning candle too close to a curtain. In a few seconds, the curtain ignites. Smoke sets off the 10-year sealed battery smoke alarm 27 seconds after the fire is started.
The time
This
is
provides
important to pay attention to.
early warning to the residents. However, the ceiling temperature is rising and smoke production is increasing. A home fire can be deadly in as little as 2 minutes because the items and furnishings in today's homes are made of synthetic, petroleum-based plastics that burn quickly and produce deadly, poisonous smoke.
Now, what I want you to pay attention to is you see how low that black
The
smoke is
occupants
coming?
had an escape plan and were able to escape before the space becomes uninhabitable.
We'll talk about that after the
Remember,
video's done.
you may have as little as
Yep.
2 minutes to safely evacuate. That is not much time to escape, especially if the fire occurs at night when everyone is sleeping. Even fire departments with the quickest response times likely would not be able to get there in time before flashover occurred. At approximately 4.5 minutes, flashover occurs. Everything in the room erupts in flames and becomes a room that is on fire. The temperature is now well over 1100 degrees. When firefighters arrive, they attack the flames with fire hoses as dense churning smoke erupts out of the structure. Firefighters can use over 150 gallons per minute to extinguish a fire. The room and the contents are completely destroyed. The scene is one of total devastation. The process to rebuild a home after a similar fire would likely take a year or more. Imagine the family photos and heirlooms lost to the fire. Now we will repeat the demonstration, this time with the room protected with a single fire sprinkler. The fire is started, and we see flames begin to consume the curtain. At 21 seconds, early warning is given as the smoke alarm sounds. 29 seconds after the fire was started, the temperature at the ceiling where the sprinkler is located reaches 155 degrees, causing the sprinkler to activate. When a home is protected with fire sprinklers, only the sprinkler closest to the fire activates, not the entire system. Immediately, the sprinkler puts water on the fire and begins to control the fire, keeping it from spreading, often extinguishing it entirely. The quick action and early fire suppression by the fire sprinkler allows people inside the house time and a path to safely escape. As firefighters respond, they only need water from a fire extinguisher to make sure the fire is extinguished. There is very little damage in the room protected with the fire sprinkler compared to the other room. Even the water damage is minimal. Fire sprinklers use about 15 to 25 gallons of water per minute compared to fire hoses that can put out more than 150 gallons per minute. Most often, families that experience a fire in a sprinklered home are able to move back in the same or very next day after some cleanup. When comparing the two rooms, it is easy to understand the life and property-saving benefits of home fire sprinklers. Complete destruction versus minor damage. Most important, it provides the time needed for everyone in the home to escape the deadly heat and toxic smoke. Your family's best protection from a home fire is a comprehensive fire safety approach that includes a well-practiced fire escape plan, 10-year sealed battery smoke alarms, and home fire sprinklers.
Pretty interesting, right? How many of you can get out of your house in less than 2 minutes? What, nobody? You think you can get out of your house in less than 2 minutes? In the middle of the night? You have a door right there? You run through the wall to the neighbor's house? Oh, no, but most people can't get out of their home in that 2-minute time frame. Don't know why, but fires seem to happen more at night. Why? Why do they happen more at night than during the day? No one's paying attention, and we're home, right? You're at home, you're doing stuff. I have people that leave heaters on, blanket falls over the heater, okay? All of that comes into play. On average, people can't get out of their home. You used to have 17 minutes to get out of your house. Do you know why? Because back in those days, grandma's furniture was covered in plastic, and it was wood, wool, and metal, right? How many remember sitting on plastic couches at grandma's house, and you go get up and you hear, because your skin's sticking to it, right? My grandmother's in Philadelphia. I had it all the time. You had time because it didn't burn. But now everything's made out of plastic and foam. For every quarter square inch of foam, quarter square inch is like 13 gallons of salad gasoline. So think about how much foam do you have in your house? The couch, chairs you sit on, the bed, right? Fire grows faster than you think. On average, we tell people it doubles in size every minute. But in 4 minutes, what temperature do we bake stuff at? 350. I can get there in less than 2 minutes. At 4.5 minutes, he said 1100 degrees, but it depends on what kind of furniture you have in there. It can reach 1700 degrees at the ceiling level. It's 1100 degrees at the floor. How many remember doing, what do we teach you? Get on your hands and knees and crawl out in the smoke, right? Do you think you're surviving in 1700 degrees at the ceiling or at 1100 at the floor? Not a chance. When you saw it start to get really big, we were only 1.5 minutes in. It's already what we call untenable. It's already to the temperature that you will not survive. Now, here's the next question. How many of you do fire drills at home? When's the last time you did a fire drill? Yep. When we were in school, it's the last time we did a fire drill. And I don't care who you are, that's the last time you did a fire drill. You should be doing fire drills in your home. But guess what? Do it when the kids are just going to sleep and say, hey, tell them ahead of time. Sometime this week, we're going to set the smoke detectors off. And then after they go to bed, set the smoke detectors off. You want to know a surprising fact? They probably won't wake up. Do you know why? Because as we get older and when we're younger, that noise is not heard by your ears. So we tell everybody smoke detectors save lives because they do, but you have to hear them. But if you have smoke detectors and fire sprinklers, you're guaranteed to get out of your house. The smoke detectors are early warning. The sprinkler's going to go off. And I have systems that have been installed for over 20 years in Draper. And I can tell you that 90% of them, the homeowners, because they don't know about and understand sprinklers, even after I tell them, I'll walk out the door and they shut them off. That's great, they shut them off. They shut the water supply coming to it off, but there's still water in the system. The code only requires 10 minutes worth of water. And within that system, throughout the entire house, there's at least 10 minutes of water. We've had fires to where people have called the fire department and said, hey, I really love my sprinklers. I accidentally had a fire start. They came on, put the fire out, and they shut themselves off. What? They shut themselves off.
That's
so we went out and investigated it.
Yeah.
They had shut the water off. It ran out of water, was why they thought it shut itself off. It never shut itself off. They had turned the water supply off. They'll run until we shut them off or somebody goes in and shuts them off. How many of you think, how much water damage do you think they cause?
Less than fire.
A lot less than fire damage, right? So, I want you to think about something. A sprinkler head puts out 25 to 35 gallons of water per minute. My fire hoses, he was a little light on what he was recommending. Between 150 to 250 gallons for one hose. Marcella, how many hoses we take into a house fire? More than that. At least 2. So if we have 150 to 250 gallons coming out from one hose, what do we have coming out from 2? Who's doing more water damage? Fire guys. We're drowning your house. And we're putting so much pressure out that we're cutting through sheetrock like it's butter. Right?
And
The
they're
sprinkler-
shooting from the roof
Yeah.
where they cut a big hole in it.
The sprinkler system comes out in a mist to put the fire out. So sprinklers are a great thing, but we can't get them in every home because I won't go into the politics of it. It's the way how our code's written for our state, we're limited on where we can put them. So I try to get them everywhere I can. Let's go to the next slide. So I was telling you about the program that I started in my city. Did you turn it off again?
I don't think so.
Oh, you're still playing the video. You got to get past that slide. There we go.
That's
You
the
can
old
do it.
mouse.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, how many of you have ever worried about, could I get to the front door if I called the fire department? Anybody? So
My
if you're at
wife
home
has.
and you fall and you've called 911, can we get in? Now, the answer is, yeah, we can get in. We have a key to every building in our city. We do. It's not conducive when we use it because it does damage, right? It breaks things. Firemen like to break things sometimes. So I got to thinking, how can I do our citizens a service? And back east, we had a thing to where we put a key box on the house that only the fire department could access. So that if you called 911 and couldn't get to the door because you were either having chest pain or you slipped and fell and couldn't get to the front door to let us in, we had a key to be able to get in. So we work with a company called Knox, and they created this box. It's called a home box. Now, you'd have to check with the fire department in your city because these are all keyed to the city, the fire department for that city. So this one's keyed for Draper. This sits over the door, just like this. One key goes in here. and it locks and it's secured. And I'll pass this around. It's got some weight to it. It's not going anywhere, and you can't break into it. There's a reason they call it Knox, because it's like Fort Knox. That key gets us in and keeps us from having to break a window, break a door to get to you. Guess what? I don't charge my citizens for it. It's called the HELP program. And I have a spelling problem because HELP didn't work if you spell out H-E-L-P. So I added a stutter in there and added another L. So it's called the Home Entry Lockbox Loaner Program. I named it HELP because everybody needs help. And if you're calling 911, that's what we're coming for. And I designed it for homeowners or those that have family that live in Draper that may be concerned about how the fire department's going to access their family members. So we don't have to break the door down. We have this box. And I had 40 of them donated. I have about half of them out in the city right now because we're still getting the word out. It's been a little slow going, but other fire departments have caught on, and I don't know exactly how many we have, but we have a few that are doing this program. Now, some charge for the box and some don't. I felt like it was a good way for the fire department to get back to the community. Us showing how much we care about those that live in our community, that, hey, if you're interested in one of these boxes and you're a homeowner, let us come put this on there. I have a lady who's in her early 50s. She was out riding her bike and messed up her knee, and she's in a brace. And she's like, I'm not elderly. I said, it's not for elderly. It's for anybody that has an issue or thinks they may have an issue. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter anything. That's not a part of it. If you think it would benefit you, we can make it happen. So reach out to your fire departments and ask them if they have this. If they don't, talk to them about it and tell them, hey, call the fire marshal in Draper. He'll tell you all about it. Because there's not a fire marshal in the state that doesn't know who I am. They all have my number and they can call me, and I can maybe help get that started in your cities.
Could we put a code in there?
Yep. If you've got a punch code, you put the code in there. Not everybody has a key anymore, right? So if you can if you put the code in there, then they know to get in there. But the other advantage to it is, how many times have you seen on the news, there was a fire at a house, and the homeowner was home but never heard anything going on. The fire department had to get in there and break the door down. Well, again, we know the house is going to get damaged by fire. We really want to try to limit as much damage as we can. We don't want to do a whole lot of damage. We know that it can be devastating, but it can help us get to you even sooner. What's cool that comes in the box is, in case of emergency, there's a little magnet, and you can put it on the fridge, and it tells us who we should contact in case of an emergency. Maybe what medications you're on. You can add there. There used to be a little life vial that was going around that you could put a list of your medications in, so that if you weren't able to give that to the firefighters, they have the ability to know where that's at and be able to have that information when they're taking you to the hospital.
Can you access the emergency stuff on a cell phone?
Yes. Okay. As long as the cell phone can be opened, yes. Sorry about that. Can we access it even from a cell phone? The answer is yes. If we have access to the phone, we should be able to access that if it's on there. And as long as the patient's able to talk to us, or a family member is able to talk to us, then we can access that to be able to have that information at hand. So that's pretty much all I have for you guys tonight. Is there any questions that I can answer? Yes, sir.
In addition to my front door, I have a storm door that I keep locked at night.
Okay.
So how would there?
That will fit over the storm door, and it will fit over in between the storm door and the front door. But if you're locking the storm door, I'd recommend you put it over the storm door. Yes, ma'am. No, because it's the actual width is that little hangover piece is as wide as your front door, and you see the screw holes that are in the top and the back. I choose to put it in the top because you can't see that, and it doesn't do damage to the door this way. The doors are able to have something screwed into the top of them, and that'll screw onto the top of it to where it won't move. Yep. Yeah. So I leave it up to you on where you want us to put it. I have some folks that have put it right above their lock, so it's on the door open side, and I have them put it close to the hinge. It just comes down to where would you like it put, because it slides. You can put it anywhere along the top of the door.
Different departments have different preferences
Yeah,
too.
and
Okay.
they make a model that screws right to the wall.
Yep.
So if you don't have, if it for some reason won't fit on there, we can get one and take that back piece off and screw it right to the wall. The other nice thing is let's say within Draper, you decide that it's time for you to move. You call us, we come get the box, give you back the key, and we put the box back in to be handed out to somebody else, because it can't be used in any other city but Draper. Same with your whatever city you're part of. They have their own key, so they would need a box that has their key. Great question. Any other questions? Okay, it's all you, man.
Sounds good. Thank you for coming.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Oh, I do have the video, your video online too. Should I show them that one?
Which video?
No, next one.
Oh,
Home
yeah.
box?
Yeah. My, you talking about my PSA that I did?
Yeah.
Oh,
It likes to stay over on this TV. And then, there it is.
We have a question online.
Yes.
Average cost of a sprinkler system. How you can
great question. So, average cost of a sprinkler system nationally is about $1.75 a square foot. In Utah, though, our prices are a little bit higher. It's about $2.75 to about $3 a square foot. So you're looking for, on average, if you're looking at the overall cost, the overall cost is 1 to 2% of the overall cost of the home. So it's very minimal, especially in today's market where you have homes that are running upwards of $400,000 to $500,000 up to $1 million. 1 to 2% of the cost of the home is extremely minimal. So anywhere between usually about 8 to 10,000 on average. Yes, ma'am. So yes, so it depends.
repeat the question?
Yes, how far do they spray out? Thank you, because I keep forgetting to do
That's
that.
okay.
How far do they spray out? They spray 9 feet. Well, residential sprinklers actually spray further than that. So if you have a 10 by 10 room, it will wet sheetrock to sheetrock. So depending on the depth of the room, you may need 1, you may need 2. Usually in most bedrooms, we don't have more than 1. In front rooms, kitchen areas, we have usually about 4 because they're so large. Hallways, you'll end up with maybe about 1, but usually every bedroom has 1. They only go in bathrooms that are 55 square feet or larger, and they go in walk-in closets. Any closet that is greater than 3 foot in depth, they'll usually put one in. So on average, in an average size home, using Draper as an example, a home may have 20 sprinkler heads at best, covering the entire house. None on the outside. Now, I have people ask me, Don, I'm up in the wildland urban interface, you have sprinklers in my house, what does that do for a wildfire? It does nothing for a wildfire. We don't put them on the outside of the house for one reason. Sun beats on them. You heard them talk about a temperature, 155 degrees. That's when that bulb or the fusible link melts away or the bulb breaks and the water starts to flow. If the sun's beating down on it, it could cause it to accidentally go off. If we have a wildfire, those temperatures get up to 2,000 degrees in a hurry, and we have a bunch of homes with sprinklers on the outside trying to protect them. I've lost all my water supply to fight that fire, right? It's designed, the design of the residential sprinkler is to get you out of the house and save your home. And if you live in a mountainous area, it's to protect the mountain from a house fire, not the house from a mountain fire.
By the way, I learned something new that I didn't know. And the children and looked it up. I'm like, seriously?
Yes.
But 3,000 hertz,
Yep.
they can't hear it. And that's what the normal alarms are, is at around 3,000 hertz. Yeah.
There are many, many videos on YouTube that will show you a study that NFPA did, National Fire Protection Agency. They did testing with children, setting with firefighters' children. The firefighters say, oh, my kids will wake up. I've trained them well. They'll get up. They set the smoke detectors off and were shocked that the kids did not hear the smoke detector.
I wonder what
They slept
age,
through it.
what age that is, you know?
So they were, the ones that they had in there, I think the youngest was 5 or 6 and the oldest was 17. She did hear it. She didn't hear it at first. The first time that it went off, she did sit up, but she never woke up. She sat up. She thought she heard something and she laid back down and went to sleep. Can anybody describe a smoke detector sound? It's a pretty common sound. Loud, piercing, but what does it also sound like? The old style alarm clock. Meh, 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 meh.
Interesting.
Right? How many of us as teenagers slept through that? Or even as adults, right?
How many still do, right?
Yeah, some of us.
Now often they've got some that talk to you and say fire.
That's what they found
That works.
changed everything.
That's what it was saying on
A voice activated smoke detector with a familiar voice. And I will tell you, it's not dad's voice, it's mom's voice. Because mom has a much soother voice saying, we have a situation, get up, it's time to get up, we got to get out of the house. Dad's voice, it didn't work. It worked, but not consistently. Mom's voice, it worked consistently. So if you can find those are the better ones to have.
And that's what I was reading online, is if you could do a voice that's going to go down to 500-600 hertz,
Yep.
and it's going to wake them up. And that's fascinating. I
Yeah.
didn't learn that. That's
And as we get older, it goes the other direction, right? So young age, they can't hear, but as we get older, we can't hear it either. So
don't be too young or too old.
right, got to be in between.
Yeah,
Got to
exactly.
figure out how to get there, right?
Yeah.
Easy.
You want to go ahead and show that? This is my 15 minutes of fame or 15 seconds of fame.
I was potentially going to do this if he wasn't here, so that's why I have a video of him. So, yeah, I'm not like a fangirl or anything about it. He's cool, but yeah.
Hello, I'm Don Buckley, the Draper City Fire Marshal, coming to you today to talk to you about our HELP program, the Home Entry Loaner Lockbox program. And we just completed an install for a homeowner here in Draper. It doesn't take long. It is free of charge to homeowners that may feel they have a need or the want to be able to have the fire department be able to access their home in an emergency without doing any physical damage to a door or window that may happen if we can't get into the house if you happen to have an emergency.
Hi, my name is Eric Fricker, and I live up here in beautiful Suncrest. We just had the emergency key put on the door from the Draper Fire Department. It just gives me and my family another layer of protection in an emergency. Seconds count, and this is one of those things that I think would help us a lot. It didn't cost me a dime. It was easy to put in, and it is going to be really nice, especially when my wife gets home. She's going to like the look of it, and I would encourage everybody to get one of these if they can get it. Good luck to you. Thank you.
She did ask what it was. And they now have a screen door in front of it. And so when we open the screen door, we see it up there in the corner. But it could go to either corner. It doesn't matter.
And there's a little decal that they'll throw in the window too. And then not every fire department, but Draper does log those.
Whoa.
Well, that doesn't
Log?
stop it. Autoplay. But what was I talking about?
Other fire departments?
The sticker?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so other fire departments. Do you know if they put residential Knox boxes in their dispatch system?
I don't know. I know that
You
I
guys
do. We do.
Which makes it where even if, they didn't see the sticker or something, they are still aware that there's a Knox box on site, so they don't start at the door tearing it down. You guys have torn down a lot of doors.
We have.
Yeah. Mostly commercial, right?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they learn. They put up their Knox box eventually. 2 or
Yes.
3 doors down the road.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've only had to do one business twice.
Yeah.
And he finally learned that I probably ought to get a notch box because it's 3,000. Yeah, same business, same fire problem each time, 6 months apart. And he finally got tired of, well, I should say the insurance company got tired of paying $3,000 to replace the door every time. So, because
Wasn't
when
that
you
the
tell a
Rex place?
firefighter to remove a door, that's a dangerous job to give them because they don't take one side, they take the whole thing. You just got to have room to get in and out. So, well, I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you for having me. Good, buddy. I'll give you that.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
I'll sit in the back for a
Okay.
minute.
Okay. Sounds good. Another round of applause for Draper Fire Marshal Don Buckley.
And we do have about 45 minutes left, and so he's going to be teaching a bunch of stuff, but we want to leave a little time for some questions because I'm sure you guys have some. So, by the way, any questions up to this point? Okay, let's keep going.
They already know it. Huh. So this is kind of the whole presentation is basically just I have a lot of different slides that I use for different educational purposes, and I kind of threw them all together. So it might not be the most linear way to tell you guys about things, but I think that we'll get the point across overall. And one of the big things that I guess I'm preaching to the choir here, most people don't think they need to be prepared. It's not going to happen to me kind of scenario, but that's never the case. So I was just putting together some cool houses on fire, which is kind of sad. You know, there's a lot of loss here. But just these pictures here specifically are from airplanes crashing into homes. You know, so that's probably the most rare thing I could ever think of happening. And it could happen to you. Because these center two, the one on the left in the middle, that one was in West Jordan. And this other one right here was up in Roy. And that's just a couple of them. There were more of them from Utah even. So, yeah. I don't like airplanes or heights or anything. So I won't be on the plane, but they might hit my house. So, yeah. Airport too. Yeah, that was the West Jordan one. So I'm Casey Butcher. I do fire and life safety, so a lot of inspection sales, anything like that, mostly for commercial businesses. But I love fire and life safety. I like educating people about it. And I work with Summit Fire and Security. They've been a great company to work for. I started with those guys this year, and they were cool enough to where I'll have to ask Marcelo to work something out. But these two fire extinguishers are for giveaways for whoever attended today. Or you can do one for people here, one for people at home, however you want to do it. But yeah, so a couple of freebies for you guys. They're good people. So we're going to go over some home fire statistics, preparation, evacuation, and then general fire and fire extinguisher training. So it should be pretty exciting. I try not to keep it too boring. If I'm mumbling too much, yell at me. And if you have questions, just throw them out there. So on our home fire statistics, so I like to start at the bottom. And if you could see candles, 7,200 fires, 2% of the fires around are started by candles. They killed 100 people just from candle fires. That means that those sweet scented cylinders kill more people than sharks, alligators, bears, venomous spiders, livestock, dogs, and bees nearly combined. Just all across the board, just from candles. So that's why I don't go to Bed Bath & Beyond anymore. It's a dangerous place. You know, you're just promoting murder. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we go up from there. Fans and air conditioners, 3% of the fires. Exposure fire, that's one of the ones that I have reservations on because that could mean that your car exposed your home to a fire. Could also mean that your neighbor's house caught your house on fire. And that's reason to be pissed. So make sure that they prepare too. Then we've got clothes dryer or washer. That's 4% of the fires. Don, do you have any stats on that or anything?
That's about right. But
Yeah.
what do you think causes the cold dryer fire? Lead. How many of you clean your
How many of you clean your lint trap all the way to the outside every year or more. Hey, that tube that goes all the way to the outside needs to be cleaned at least annually. And you'd be shocked at what comes out of there every year.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on.
I have a new build home, and we've not even been in it a full year. The dryer stopped twice at like the thermostat. My husband had to change it out. And then just last week, it stopped again. My son, because it's a 3-story house on one side, had to go up on the roof because the vent goes straight up to the roof, not the sideway anymore. Is that wrong?
Casualty. We got it.
Save the microphone. No, that's not abnormal. For whatever reason, builders change things up. There's no code that says it has to go sideways out. It all depends on where your washer and dryer area is, and a lot of them do on the newer builds do go out the roof, which makes it a little harder to clean because that lint builds up in there even worse.
Less than a year.
Yeah.
And we had to change the thermostat twice in less than a year.
So how full was it?
I don't think it was that full.
Yeah, it was enough. It was clogged enough that it wasn't allowing for air, right?
And everything was like super hot in the dryer when it stopped.
Yep. So in my house, it goes sideways out to the backyard. In my washer and dryer, from where they're at to the outlet outside is about 30 feet. That tube is about 30 feet long. And when they pulled out of there, they filled their vacuum cleaner that they use to pull it out, and it stands about 3.5 feet tall. They filled it 1.5 times because it had never been cleaned prior to us moving into the house. And so you need to clean them out every year, or, unfortunately, you may be a casualty of a fire.
Or never wash your clothes.
Yes, there is that.
There's that option too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back to the old days.
Air dry.
Air dry.
Air dry, exactly. Okay,
Question over
hold
here.
on one sec.
I heard that as far as cars, I heard that these electric cars, if they get wet, like in a hurricane flooding type situation, later when they're in the garage, they can just ignite. Is that true?
Not necessarily. A little bit, yes and no, but it's not necessarily them getting wet. But the type of fire that those kind of cars do turn into is a pretty terrifying sight. With the lithium that's in those batteries, they become self-sufficient. They don't require oxygen. You can cut all the oxygen out, and it's not going to touch that fire because it creates its own oxygen with its process of burning. It's kind of terrifying.
And by the way, as firemen, that scares us the most because all these electric cars coming out there, we just can't put them out.
Yeah.
We have the F500 and stuff, which you'll talk about, but still, how do you get to it?
Yeah.
How do you even get to it to be able to put it out?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. We had a question online. You come on up here. You're popular. But
I brought
we
the
had
right
a question online is for people who want to clean out their vents. Are there? What's the best way to do it? Should you try to do it yourself, or should you get a professional company? And who would
You can do it yourself. However, I would recommend a professional company to do it. Some of them a lot of them have commercials on TV. Stanley Steamer does it, just off the top of my head. And then in the mail, you'll get mailers all the time. And there's all kinds of companies out there that will come out and do it. And I would recommend, it's duct cleaning is kind of what it is. And it's part of the duct cleaner. Like I was able to get mine done with the ducts. I think it cost me about $200 to get the whole house done. But it's well worth to have a professional come out and do it because they guarantee that it's clean, and they'll shove a camera in there and show you that it's clean all the way back to the dryer. So always highly recommended to have somebody professional come in and do that. But you can do it yourself. It is possible. Lowe's and Home Depot both sell a kit that you attach to a drill There are some ways you can do it with a shop vac, but you got to have a long enough hose. Depending on how long your run is, you may not be able to, and you don't know how many twists and turns are within the pipe. Some aren't always straight. Some have little dips and alleys and whatnot in them. So that's why I always recommend a professional do it. No problem.
We're good?
Yep.
So then we've got smoking materials, 5% of the fires, 24% of the deaths. We kind of touched base on that a little bit when Dawn was speaking earlier about people being present and awake and at home. And that's why, the types of fires and the deaths that occur can vary depending on if it's nighttime or daytime. I'll go into that just a little bit more. And intentional fires, those people suck, 9% of the fires. That's why we got a fire investigator. And how often do you think it's arson? Do you think 10% is about right for a Draper?
Oh, less than that. I don't have very many fires in Draper.
Oh, okay.
Most of the time, the ones that we see in Draper, oh yeah, sorry, everybody can see me, sorry. Most of the ones that we have in Draper that have been human caused have been kids playing with fireworks where they're not supposed to be. Or doing what we did as kids, hey, I wonder if this will burn, and trying different things. On average, though, it's really hard to say. Salt Lake City has quite a few arson fires. South Salt Lake Unified Fire, if you're in their area, they seem to get a few fires that are what we call human caused. Arson is kind of a strong word. It's arson, you have to prove intent that they were trying to do damage. And so in some areas that's pretty easy to do, in others it's not so easy to do. But human caused fires, we have quite a few, and you hear about them all the time, especially this time of year, right? We all go camping, think we put the fire out, little wind kicks up, and now we have a mountain fire. So it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
So
I have special tools that I use for my
there you
fires
go.
when I'm
See?
camping. We'll talk about that in a little bit too. So then we go electrical distribution and lighting equipment. That's a huge one. Not everybody realizes, like, we have a few octopuses at our house, where it's like one extension cord connected to a power strip connected to ungodly amounts of the stuff I bought for my kids, And that's actually a big cause of the fires. That's the majority of that 9% for the electrical distribution and lighting. Then we've got heating equipment at 13% of the fires with 18% of the civilian deaths. Cooking at 49% of the fires with 20% of the civilian deaths. So a little bit of a variance there that doesn't quite make sense, but I'll skip to the next one. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Is it helpful to unplug your big electrical things when you're not using them? Just like unplug them when
Yeah.
you're sleeping, or does that help?
I mean, it
obviously.
does, but it's kind of band-aiding it. The best way to do it is to have an electrician come out and put in an extra outlet, Besides the labor on it, it's really not that expensive if you compare it to what it would cost for your deductible on a little house fire, Or you guys can put it in yourself if you know about it. But yeah, I recommend setting it up better, Yeah. Yeah, they can be a little bit dangerous. So then home fire statistics, we've got that for time of day. Daytime's got 67% of the fires, but 35% of the deaths. Nighttime's got 33% of the fires with 65% of the deaths. Do you guys understand why that would be the case? Yeah. You're not alert. You can't hear that 3,000 hertz sound, So you didn't wake up for it. Should have brought more mics.
It's okay. The other thing, when we were talking about fires happening at night and why there's as high a deaths as there are, how many of us have the old-fashioned push-button phone next to our bed? What do we have? We have a cell phone, right? What's the first thing when you realize that? First, you got to wake up, right? Then you got to realize what's going on. Ooh, I got to call 911. Where's my cell phone? Is it always next to the bed? Mine is, but I can tell you that my wife, when we go to bed, she'll go, where's my cell phone? It's out in the front room where she left it because she forgot to carry it into the bedroom. And I said, well, if I'm not here, you got to have it next to you. So if there's a problem, you can dial 911. But you have to find the phone. Then you got to get focused enough to dial 911. And then you're yelling to get everybody out of the house at the same time, right? So it takes time. So going back to that time frame, think about that 2 minutes. Can you truly get out of your house in 2 minutes with smoke going on and building, trying to find a cell phone to call? How many of you keep shoes next to your bed that you can slip on? A few of you, right? That's a great idea. Slide into them. Make sure you have, this sounds strange, but you want to make sure you have some clothes on, because that's not a good thing to go running outside with just shoes on. They'll put a robe on, but it happens, right? Stranger things have happened, and as a fireman, we can attest, you've seen things that you just wonder, you scratch your head and you go, how? But it happens. So, but yes, that's why, and the other part of that is, I have more people try to run back in to save things, right? Things are replaceable. You are not. I can replace things. I can't replace you.
One other point, and you're probably going to cover this, but at nighttime, a little trick to do is compartmentalize the fire. And so one of the things we do, like when we close up at nighttime, what do? We close every door. Okay, every door in this place gets closed before we leave. When I leave on vacation, okay, every door gets closed. I unplug things that I don't need plugged in, any heaters, anything like that. I don't want to take a chance on, anything that might light up. I don't leave things on top of the stove, right, at nighttime, in case something lights up or starts. I don't have anything plastic or anything left on the stove. But closing all the doors is a huge thing at nighttime.
How many of them shut their doors when they go to bed?
Yeah, how many of you guys shut your doors? Well, we got about 7 of you. 8, 9, yeah, which is pretty awesome.
How many of you make sure your kids' doors are shut?
Yeah, kids' doors shut. Awesome. Good job. Isn't that amazing? Little tiny thing.
It makes a huge difference, though. There's plenty of videos. I should have brought some videos that show that, too. If you guys have some time when you get home, look it up. Close before you doze is the term that they use. You've always got to have a fun little term for you to remember it by. But they show the same fire, and then there's a door that's open, door that's closed. The door that was open, they hit the fire before it got to that room, but that room's still demolished. It's black. Everything in it's black. So if you think about that, like I have 4 daughters, like that's why their doors are closed. They never used to like it. Now they're like, I can't sleep with it any other way. But yeah, the doors are closed, because even if the whole house goes up, once they finally figure it out, because one of them sleeps like I do, she'll sleep through everything. But by the time it gets her door hot, she's going to be out the window. So yeah, the rest of the house will be gone. But yeah.
That brings up a good question.
Yeah.
This is just more for everyone, but how many of you have an emergency set of stairs to get out of the second floor of your building?
We have some of that on here too. Yeah.
Yep.
I'll show you guys some examples of those. So when we go over this, at 6 a.m., 2% of the fires cause 5% of the deaths, but at 6 p.m., 7% of the fire cause 3% of the deaths. It's all about just being alert. And since you're not going to be alert while you're sleeping, easiest thing to do is just stop sleeping. You guys are lazy. There's no reason for it at this point. You've had, right? Yeah, caffeine patches. Ask Elon Musk. He's probably got something out there now. So we could figure out a workaround. Or the alternative would be follow some of the next segment steps to be alert and prepared, and utilize your custom-built strategy when and if necessary. So preparation. I just like this because I like the whole prepping thing. So people before and after a disaster. It's probably not really a hurricane. But yeah, then we've got the prepper in the bottom corner. Yeah. He's been waiting for it. He just got his payoff. That's what he wanted, was that disaster. So, yeah. So many "I told you so's" coming out of that guy's mouth, you know? So, easiest way to be alert when you're sleeping are detectors. There are tons of different kinds of detectors. So basically, with smoke detectors, we've got ionization and photoelectric. And Don might have more input on it, but for me, if you're putting something in your house and you didn't have something there before, you made the right choice. They both detect smoke. They're to different variances, but if you have a very large house or unique circumstances, you can call companies like mine or plenty of others that are out there. We can come in and custom tailor smoke detectors and fire alarm that'll automatically call for the fire department or emergency services if you guys would like something like that. And those are less expensive than a sprinkler system most of the time. Also a lot of good stuff for burglary with that too.
So my dad has a wood shop, and if there's too much sawdust in the air, the smoke detector goes off. Is there a different smoke detector he could use in that environment?
The heat detectors can do it. Do they have standalones on those? I haven't seen them. They do. Oh, yeah. You can get a standalone heat detector then, and it's just based on temperature. With dust being as combustible as it is, I'm a huge fan of getting an actual vacuum system put on. Like my grandpa's old shop, he had it decked out. He had a great woodworker, but his was all suctioned out the whole time, and then he had to dispose separately. So that would be my recommendation for that. Similar to the Band-Aid, but yeah.
Sometimes it's just not good enough.
Yeah, no, that's definitely the case, depending on how hard you're going that day or something. And these used to be way more expensive too. Like this top one right here, the X-Sense, that is the carbon monoxide / smoke detector. So that one does both. You have to be careful on your placement with them. These ones, one of my favorite things about them is they wirelessly connect. And most of these new ones now, you buy a 6-pack of them or a 5-pack, whatever that one is. You push the on button for all of them, and then you pick whichever one is your test one. You test it, it connects to the rest of them, and they all give you a verbal authentication basically. And then you go and install them in your house. And if one of them goes off, let's say it's downstairs in the basement or even in the woodshed, as long as it's less than 850 feet away, it's going to set off the entirety of them. So you guys will always know, even if it's in a different part of the house. So I like that.
Why did you say you had to be careful where you put them?
Can you repeat that question for the people on the-
So why you would have to be careful where you're putting CO2 detectors, because that one's a CO2 mix. Is CO2 is more dense than air, so normally it'll be a little bit lower. But there are variances that come up with that where CO2 that comes off of a furnace or something like that is actually a little bit lighter than air. So there are
You forgot that you don't need to add the 2. It's just CO.
CO. Sorry.
CO2 is what we put
Yeah.
to get soda.
Yeah.
I see you're thinking about fizz.
I do a lot of CO2
Yeah.
stuff. I'm always going to say CO2.
But
Always,
CO is carbon monoxide.
Yeah.
So the reason for the placement is it sits low to the ground. So if you put it next to, like in a room with your heater puts off, your furnace puts off carbon monoxide.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you don't want to be in that same room with the heater, because you can get carbon monoxide. And that's why we go on calls all the time, because the flue gets stuck because the bird decided that was a good place to build a nest. So you want to make sure you've got good placement, that it's not going to continually go off. Or if it's by the garage, like my laundry room has one in it. It's right off my garage. But I don't have a CO2. I don't have, see, you got me going.
You're gonna do
Doesn't
it
have a
forever now.
CO alarm there, because the cars will set it off.
So they're combined, so you need the CO when low, but you need the smoke detector when high. So why do you want to combine them?
No, go for it.
Okay. So with a combination one, they've set them up to where I'll be honest. I like the combination. I don't like that the smoke detector is the one that's going to sit up high. So that means in order for the CO to get up to set that off, it's going to go high. So I always recommend, there's nothing wrong with the combined, but I always recommend get just a CO to add so that it's picking it up sooner. And the second that you have one of those go off, you need to be getting out of the house. because the air in there is bad.
And by the way, don't mess with carbon monoxide. I mean, it replaces,
No.
it messes up your whole perfusion, everything else, your oxygen. It's hard to get out too of your body.
So, I oftentimes work with the Disaster Discovery Center, and one of the things we talked about was carbon monoxide. And one of the things that is a common misconception is that carbon monoxide goes lower, but it's actually the same consistency as air. So if you have it on the ceiling, the detector will still detect it.
You're teaching me something.
And let me bring this back over here,
Yeah.
Karen. So can you talk on that at all, or do you want to? No? Okay. Just fun.
So do you want a CO monitor in every room or just in the
I-
furnace room, a certain room?
Personally, I keep it close to the, yeah, exactly.
Just one,
Yep.
one per level.
One per level is all that is usually recommended. So
Glad I don't have to walk like you guys.
So,
Yeah, I'm gonna stay back here.
do they have independent CO detectors
They
that
do.
also connect with independent smoke alarms, smoke detectors
Yes.
on the same
So, accents.
on the same
Yeah.
thing? So if one of the CO detectors that you put down low because you're old school
Yep.
goes off, it'll set everything off, or
Mhm.
vice versa. Okay, they do.
And I do prefer them to be separate. And with so on to touch base too, with smoke detectors, we've got the power sources of interconnected, so they're wired into the house all together, or we've got the battery powered. But if you go down to the carbon monoxide, we've got interconnected and plug-in as well. And the thing I like about plug-in is it's where it needs to be. It's like a Glade, where it goes right in, right where the outlet is, because they say about knee height is where you'd want to have a CO detector. But I did check in the manual because I got curious on my little deep dive, and the X senses, they say still just keep them up at the ceiling. So that's probably just going to be a mixed thought on that. But I'd say whatever the package says to do, that's what you should do because it's all UL listed with that. So another question.
I suspect the manufacturer took that into account
Mhm.
and has increased sensitivity.
Yeah, that would be my thought. That's why, as long as it says do that on the packaging, then not all CO detectors are UL listed. So that's another thing I would check to make sure. It's just a little U mixed with an L that they have to stamp into the package. Don't buy them if they don't have the UL listing because they aren't. Well, basically, they still pick up CO2 the same way and to the same degree. It's just when that actually sets off the CO alarm because there's always a little bit of CO that it can detect in those certain areas. So you just want it to alarm at the right level.
Okay, all the CO and smoke detectors in my house are probably 15 to 20 years old. Should
I'd
I
replace
replace
them.
those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, COs you'll want to replace those about every 5-6 years, and they say 10 years on the smoke detectors, and that's what I don't even fiddle with any of them that do batteries anymore. Just one sealed battery. They're not very expensive. Like I think
last
both
10
of these are
years.
sealed. Yeah, you only have that's $67 right there. It's a 5-pack. Like that's an awesome deal. And one of the things I really like about this is for those ones there, if you have anybody that has any problems hearing, those have built-in high visibility LEDs, so they will actually be shining a bright light in sequence as well.
And a little thing to do as well is a lot of people forget when they install these. So find one and just take a marker and just write in the date when you did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 10 years later, they all get replaced. If you still have the ones with the regular batteries and you don't want to replace them yet, make sure maybe once a year, just replace all the batteries. Does that make sense? Don't take a chance on it. Once a year should do it, right?
As long as you don't buy Harbor Freight battery.
Harbor Freight, exactly.
Yeah.
Unless they're going off all the
Amazon.
time, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going to replace one battery, replace all of them is what it is. Just get it all done in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But these new ones right here will last 10 years. Those are awesome.
Yeah. it's
You do it and you don't have to think about it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those top ones are. And if you go to the Xsense site, bottom ones are not interconnected, no. But the Xsense has some with LEDs on them, and they have the mix and match. You can basically order a custom setup. I want 20 of these. and 10 of these ones, and you can deck the whole house out, and they all connect to each other, and all will announce unanimously.
And the sensors get clogged over time. And so that's one of the big problems. And so some people, what they'll do is, especially if you're doing construction or whatever in your house, or you have a very dusty place you live close to, sometimes you could just take one of those brushes that go onto the vacuum cleaner, just kind of do it, just brush it up a little bit, suck out some of the dust, and make sure it's clean and clear for a
Hit
while.
it with canned air too.
Canned air, yep.
That's what we do in the industry.
Yeah.
We charge a premium for it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Now that canned air is like $12 a can anyway.
Yeah, it's crazy for air.
Yeah,
air.
it's as bad as water.
Yeah, remember that? I mean,
Yeah.
people used to drink water from the tap. Now it's all, $1 for a bottle.
I've been making my
Water.
kids drink out of the hose actually every day we've been playing outside.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, you're gonna do it. Yeah.
You'll learn this is
I'll
how
show you the pipe. It's the same pipe that goes upstairs.
Yeah, this is how we grew up.
Right? Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep. They've gotten weirder. So yeah. So I actually have quite a bit more I think we can touch on quickly.
Yeah, let's go. We got 15 minutes. Why don't you keep
yeah.
going, and we'll try not
Yeah.
to ask any questions for a bit.
So here's something that most people don't have, even the best of the preppers. I like these. If you guys heard about the tiny incident in Ohio, right, where there was a little train, just a little mishap, and nothing happened really. But if something bad could have happened and it didn't, kill like millions of animals and all of that stuff. If you guys have this, I've sold these to people that live just next to train tracks here. Great for any train derailments, obviously, but I got custom cartridges because I was doing a lot of testing with lithium fires, and it has special types of gases that it puts off. So you can get any types of cartridges that you want. This also works, the same setup that I have as just a general, any kind of smoke from house fires, that kind of thing. These aren't that expensive. They used to be more. These guys are about 200 and something for the one with the facial, 250. And you can mix and match all the cartridges. Then ones I got to start picking up, I don't have them yet, but these mirror safeties, there's nothing else that works like these. There's tons of escape hoods. You can put them on your kids or your grandkids, whichever way it goes. They're not going to be happy in that, but you give them a sippy cup and a cool little spaceman hat that actually has a powered respirator on the back, so they have the same cartridges with powered filtered air going in. They're not going to be scared. It's going to be a vast difference in the effect you had on their lifetime. I hugely recommend it. This is just called an escape hood. These guys are actually pretty fantastic because it's this, but you don't have to have it sized out. Usually they're in a little sealed package. You take it out of the sealed package and it's a stretch to fit, which won't work for me because I have actually a huge head. But for normal people, yeah, that's a good way to go. And they're $140 for those ones. You can get these kinds of masks without the eye protection, where it's just the respirator, for around $50 to $75. So one thing, if you are buying them online, buy extra cartridges right then from that same manufacturer, because almost none of them are mix and match. So they have to be the identical one to that model and everything. So buy your extras in the beginning is what I'd recommend. Unless you go with a good company like Sunstrom, you'll be able to buy these forever. So let's see. Okay. Does anybody have problems with stairs? Or have anybody in their house that's got problems with stairs? So mostly I'd seen this kind of stuff when I did my EMT school. I haven't sold any of them or anything personally, but those on the top left, it's called an evac chair. They've got a lot of really fun names for it. They're all similar plays on words, yeah. And they're fantastic, though. Have you ever seen any of the furniture dollies where the one guy from R.C. Willey comes in and he puts your fridge in by himself, took it up the stairs and everything? That's basically what it turns this into. So it's a nice chair, folds up to be tiny, something like 8 inches deep and a little shorter than the table. Unfold it, only takes a few seconds, and then you can get anybody you need to down the stairs. So it's pretty fantastic as far as getting people down the stairs. The other types of things that you might have to use would be like to rappel. They have safety devices like that, normally only used by fire rescue. Like they've had to use them a lot when the ski lifts go down and they have to get people off. It's a little chair and you lower them out of it. Kind of hard to implement unless you decked your house out with rappelling gear. So yeah. So just don't let any stairways burn. Yeah, it's easy. We have control, right? But one of the big ones that was brought up earlier, we've got the escape ladders. They are not very expensive. That one right there is 120 bucks. They have similar ones that start for 40 bucks. So, question?
A weight limit.
A lot. The 1,000 pound. Yeah, because
For the first alert?
yeah, the first alert one. Yeah.
So
It's
she,
1,000
she was
pounds.
asking the weight limit.
So the reason that they make the weight limits the way that they do, and I actually recommend the first alert, that the mechanism that is used to grasp the windowsill on the first alert is legitimately universal. The rest of them might have like a 10-inch hook, which isn't going to work, or it's going to grab onto the edge of your trim. And depending on how devoted your trim guy was to making it where it'll hold your weight and the weight of whoever's coming down after you, I just wouldn't trust it. So that one for 120, it's fantastic. And they fold up to be pretty small, you know, about, I think it said they were 18 by 12 when they're all folded up. So just no space at all. It's great. You can have it in a cubby somewhere and be able to get out of the house. So hugely recommend them. I left the 10-year battery on that too. There's no battery for that one. That was a copy and paste fluke. Yeah.
That's funny. And just one more note while he's going on this. If you are in a fire, just get out. I mean, the biggest thing is just get out. Get out as quick as you can. Don't worry about anything else except for, saving lives. And that's it. But also, we're going back to the closing the doors. As a fireman, what happens is sometimes somebody opens a window, okay, to a house and their door is open also. And as soon as we open the front door, it creates wind or air coming in, and it can ignite the whole house very quickly. And so if you are going to get out the window, if you can close the door, get out the window, and tell the firemen I opened the window, okay? Let them know what's open, what's closed, okay? Just to help everybody out.
That is huge, yeah. And don't stop to tweet about it if you're in the middle of a fire. So, if you guys wanted to take a picture of this is actually some really good information. It's ready.gov, and then there's Be Ready Utah. The ready.gov/plan, I really like the idea of it. I don't trust the government enough to put all my info in, and it creates a plan for you. You just put in the names of everybody and your address and allergies, and I'm like, yeah, I don't trust you guys. But
your bank
if you
account
guys
information.
do, yeah, right? It says specifically at the top, it's not tracked by any government agency.
Right.
But the deep state, I mean, they're still involved
Yeah.
there somewhere, I'm sure.
Just the CIA, because they're not government, are they? So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned on the other page, that plan, it sets you up with this entire thing. So, the Make Safe Happen, if you go to their website, it's like makesafehappen.org. They give you that nice grid paper just to keep it easy, and you can have your kids or grandkids or whoever's over. They can draw their own little exit strategy for your house. So you want to make sure you have 2 exits, obviously. And one of the big things, it's probably worse in commercial, I'm hoping, but the exits are always blocked. The fire extinguishers are always blocked. Not that you guys would block that one over there in the corner or anything, but fire marshal probably didn't even notice.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Let's unblock that right now.
It's gonna happen again, no matter what. So just if something just always seems to migrate into your egress pad, find a new home for it. Like buy the shelves to put it in, whatever you got to do. And then this little pets inside things, there's 1,000 different ones of those that you can get online that you can put on the door, on the fridge, like we talked about in this Knox kit, how it says medications, etc. You can get different kinds of those stickers to put in the house. So even if you're not home, it says I have 2 cats that live here. Can't say for sure that the fire department's like, oh, I wonder if they have cats that are here. They look all around the house. You probably know better. But if it's there, it's at least a chance. Yep. So, yeah.
We got about 10 minutes left. I wanted to leave you enough time for fire extinguishers because that's your...
That's right. We're here.
Perfect.
Yep. So it's a really funny video, but it's a minute and a half. Should we do it?
It's up to you.
Okay.
If it's funny, I say yeah.
It's called The IT Crowd. It's a show. It's a BBC thing.
Frank, are we on?
Four. I mean 5. I mean fire.
Notice what he does right here.
And let's see what we have here. Stand upright.
That's the only way you're actually going to know what your fire extinguisher does. It's just, I recommend doing it beforehand. So,
Remove safety clip. Don't look at my feet. Fire. Fire. No. Aim nozzle at base of fire. That is typical. Why has it done that?
so great show. I love the show. I forgot about it, so I was pulling up some clips. But these are just some of my quick recommendations on places to put fire extinguishers and maybe what size to put in there. So kitchen, pantry. So we've got these little cold fires over here. I love cold fire. It does a lot more than some of these dry chemical ones can do, but it does also have its limitations. But as far as for any of the kitchen fires, any of the small fires you can have in a house, this is actually a fantastic one to have. One of the best things about these is they're not overwhelming to use. Like you can see I'm holding it just with a couple of fingers, and I would utilize it the same way. But where any of these other ones, they can be a little bit heavier, a little harder to use. You have to have a little bit of practice with them. These are fantastic. We can go over some more details on them once we get a little further into it. But so the other sizes would be a 2.5 pound, which is this guy. It's 2.5 pounds of chemical that's in it. The whole thing weighs like 7 pounds. So these are great to have in there. And they have the built-in bracket. So it makes it real easy. They're nice, low profile. So they can mount. I have mine mounted to the side of my shelves in my pantry. And this is the 5 pound if you have a bigger pantry than me. Maybe you're like some of Don's people down at Draper where they have a walk-in pantry, you know, something fancy. Mine's just the one little door, but so bathroom cabinet, and maybe I'm just prone to wanting that because I have 4 daughters and probably more hair stuff than anybody should need. And some of it's electrical, some of it's flammable, so I just feel better having one in there. Garage, you'd want a 5 to a 20 pound, so that's all the way over on the side that's a 10 pound. And a 20 pound is more like this one. This is actually a liquid extinguisher, but you'll want 5 to 20 pounds in there. Depends on your space, depends on your hazards. And shed detached garage, same thing, 5 to 20 pound. You'll want ABC in those, or if you wanted to do some of the larger cold fires, they have some that are this size, or there is F500, it's a chemical additive that can be added in, like my water extinguisher there, that's my personal one. I have F500 in that. Also works as a fire retardant. Very similar to cold fire, just a couple of small differences, I guess, as far as listing goes. And manufacturers like to say that they can do a whole bunch more stuff.
And so when he's saying ABC, so there's the different types of fires are ABC, DK, and this one takes care of ABC. Okay, I don't know if you or me, but A, it's going to be regular combustible stuff. You got B, you got the gasoline and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
C is going to be electrical. D is going to be combustible metals.
Mm-hmm.
And then K is kitchen. And so, and you always throw water on a grease fire, just to let you know that.
Every time.
I'm just totally kidding. Never throw water on a grease fire. It'll just increase it and make it bigger. But ABC is going to take care of, like you don't want to put electrical, you don't want to put water on electrical. This is filled with water, okay? Because it just flows right back, okay? And so that's what the ABC, when he says ABC, this is ABC. These right here are an encapsulating agent, which is remarkable. It's if you ever studied micelles, the micelle technology or micelle in your body, it encapsulates it. So if you were to take this and agitate gasoline with it and try to light it later, you can't. Does that make sense? Where with this right here, you could, right? The ABC easily,
it's
right?
Gonna,
It's going to put it out, light the fire, goes right back up.
Mm-hmm.
Car tires, everything else, but this encapsulates it.
I've actually put out fires with encapsulated gasoline. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it really does amazing stuff. That's why it's fantastic additive to have at your house.
I've switched out all my little ones and everything else for this stuff right here because it works just so well.
And I'm kind of a nerd about it.
I actually have both. All three. I have all three.
This guy right here, this is my favorite fire extinguisher I have. I do go to Harbor Freight, as you can probably see if you recognize it, because I put my own F500 mixture in here, and then I do a bunch of random little projects. If I'm burning off a bolt on the truck, or if I'm doing anything, I can just bring this with me, make sure it's pumped up, you know, and it works fantastic. Or I can spray the area around it, like I actually had to do another truck project. So I sprayed the area that could be lit on fire, and because this is a fire retardant, it made it where that area could no longer be a hazard. So,
He came and
yeah.
lit a big fire for us, and we did some encapsulating agents on it. And literally, you can spray it, it goes down. You can't relight the wood, you can't relight anything else. But the beautiful part about it is, as soon as you spray it, you put your hand on it, totally cold. And it's just amazing what it can do.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun to do too. It's a little terrifying. And
let's see. We got 2 more minutes.
yeah. I'm going to try and fly through it. So, one thing to do, and it seems like minute, but the inspection of your fire extinguisher, check that the pressure gauge is in the proper range. If you don't have a pressure gauge on it like these, it's about weight, and you probably just want to bring it into a fireplace. I have my cards out here. You guys can take them if you want, but make sure the pin is secured. I brought a couple of extra old year ones, so if you guys want to use these, bring them home so you can secure your pins, and make sure the hose is clear of debris and in good condition. I can't even tell you the amount of times that I got cockroaches in my van when I was hitting up all the restaurants. Probably don't eat out, by the way. And it's that they made their home in the hose of the fire extinguisher.
Wow.
So So usually I clear them out before I get in the van. I didn't, and I don't learn my lesson very well. So yeah. And then over here, more fire is a torch, less fire. It's a fire extinguisher. That was just fun. And then we got Mentos and Diet Coke in that one. Okay, so now I'm going to go through fire extinguishers real quick. This is just the brackets. We've got the wall hanger on the top left. There's a little pokey outie on the fire extinguisher. That's the technical term, pokey outie. And then my favorite's the universal fork style. So all the fire extinguishers, it just goes underneath it like a fork to hold it up. Those are great. But then we talked about the light duty strap bottom right. It's like these right here. And then there's a heavy duty one. If you guys have ATVs, you like to hit up the mountains, those heavy duty ones are anywhere between 80 and $100 depending on the size, but you'll only buy one ever and you can put whatever you want in it. So they're kind of fantastic. So fire, what is fire? A rapid chemical reaction, the self-sustaining process of rapid oxidation of a fuel which produces heat and light. So this is the fire tetrahedron. Used to be fire triangle. Now it's just a 3D triangle. So it's kind of fun. We got heat, fuel, oxygen. You remove any of those and it's supposed to put the fire out. That's what makes lithium so dangerous. It produces its own all of those things. So, and it's just cruising along, right? For no reason.
Yeah.
So we've got A. I always refer to A as ash. Any A fire that you've got, any combustible that is basically anything in this room that would turn into an ash, that's an A fire. That's the easiest way to remember it. So it's just the all-encompassing one. Wood, paper, plastic, rubber, cloth, etc. And we've got B, that's flammable liquids and gases. So gasoline, kitchen, actually like the oils and stuff can be considered that too, but we handle those separately because there's a separate class for those. And then C, apparently it's time for C. That's electrical. It includes any energized electrical equipment, because otherwise, if there's no power to it, then it is just regular burnable material. So, then D, combustible metals, zirconium, titanium, potassium, and magnesium. Most of you shouldn't encounter those, even if you're welders. But if you do have that, there are ways to do it. D is also for lithium and a few of those other things. They actually use almost all of that list of things in a Tesla car battery. So they were like, what else is flammable? Let's throw that in there too. Like they make the enclosure out of titanium. Cool. Now the enclosure burns like crazy too. That's awesome.
This will do magnesium, won't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put out magnesium.
The owner of that cold fire actually does a magnesium test with a rag on his hand that he soaked in cold fire. Then he puts a burning chunk of magnesium in it. He's just holding it.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool because it burns up to like 5,000 degrees. So yeah.
It's amazing. We do need to wrap up.
Yeah.
There's so many things I want to learn from you still. So do you anything?
That's okay. That was
any
the
final,
extent of it.
Any final thoughts?
I didn't set up the spinnies. This is me mixing other people's
That's so funny.
presentations.
We did, just to let you know, we are working on getting these pre-filled with five F500 eventually. So in my house, we actually have all 3 of these. So for different places, this is right next to my kitchen, next to the stove. Okay. I do have these as well for electrical fires, which is really good. These last a long time, where you can only get, so many seconds out of some of these things. This one, you can go about a minute, probably what? Minute?
Minute plus, yeah,
Minute
for sure.
to 2 minutes.
Mhm.
And it just sprays. Plus, if you ever want to have a really good water fight, amazing.
It's a really good water fight.
Yeah, amazing water fight. I have about 8 of these.
Yeah.
And so, but they're really good. We did get before the class we ended up getting. Did we get cold fire or what did we get? What do we have? So we have both of these. If anybody needs them, we brought them, and obviously member pricing and everything else. So anybody, whether you're a member or not tonight, you get member pricing. So it's the exact same thing, except this one is temperature controlled, kind of like a radiator, where it has antifreeze. This one you can put in your car. If it's cold, it still can work down to what, -5 maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
some of them go more than that. I just know it's at least -5.
yeah, so this one is what I have in my car, just to let you know. I did have another one that's in my videos, which I'm going to be refilming hopefully soon, that I used to recommend. I got to a car fire and I tried to put it out, did not work at all. And so I got rid of that, and now this is what's in my car now. So
yeah,
changed it up. Yep.
How much heat can the coal fire extinguisher take, like in a hot summer in the trunk?
Well, how much heat can a hold fire take?
I haven't checked on the top temperature for it. Normally they're over 120 degrees though, for most of the extinguishers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the dry chemical, the powder ones, these guys go -40 and up to 165, I think is what it is, something like that. They have a huge range.
They all have their places. So, and you use these little tiny things, they really don't do much, just to let you know.
Kitchen fire, great.
Yeah, kitchen
if you
fire.
catch it quick. But I tried to put out a small campfire with that. It didn't touch it.
No,
it
it goes out super quick.
Yeah.
It's like the ones I have at home are this big, this big or bigger.
Yeah.
So.
And then I have a bunch of extinguishers that we can shoot off that are just CO2, so they're not going to make a mess.
Okay, so
they're super loud.
You guys want to have one CO2 blast? Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Here.
Okay. There's that one. That's the first one. So you want to
do it?
teach them pass method? I'll go grab a couple.
Sure.
I can go grab
we can
one or
do
two
that.
more.
You want me to wait for you?
No,
we're supposed to wrap up, but anybody, is it okay if we just go a couple minutes more? Show the CO2? Okay. Yeah. And so let's just do this one. That would save some time, or do you want to grab
I mean, as long as there's enough juice in it.
Okay.
No promise to how much juice is in there. They are very loud. These guys are.
So you use pass method, PASS. Okay, it's super, super easy. Don't do it like the video.
Yeah.
Okay, at all.
What
Stand
do
up
we
straight.
have here?
Yeah, exactly. Stand up straight. Okay. Hold hose,
Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead and let's go through pass.
So we have to pull the pin. They're always secured if it's set up appropriately. So grab some of these if you guys haven't. So you just pull the pin. This one's double seated because it's for me, and stuff rolls around in my truck a lot. So we get the pin out, then we aim the hose. Where do we aim it?
So
base of the fire.
Pin is P, aim is A.
And then we squeeze the handle and sweep at the base of the fire.
At the base of the fire, not the top of the fire.
Kind of cool.
Yeah, pretty fun.
If anybody have a warm drink, because this will also freeze your drink real quick for you. So,
yeah. You guys want one more squeeze? Right? You guys want to see it one more time? Yeah.
They can all test it out.
Let's go. Yeah.
Whoever's first.
Okay, who wants to do a pass? Let's finish it with somebody giving it a try. PASS. Come on up. Okay, tell us all 5 steps or 4 steps.
Oh goodness gracious!
If you do 5, you get extra credit. But
so oh my heavens, it's heavy.
That's why the cold fire ones are fantastic. They don't have that weight behind them.
And
this is heavy.
They work amazingly.
Okay, so I have to take the pin out, but the fire is right there.
So
pin, and aim, and at the base of the fire.
Yep.
Squeeze. There you are.
Woo!
Awesome. And sweep back and forth. Yes,
that's the key.
And sweep.
Yep.
Good job. Here, let me grab that.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Awesome. So we do need to wrap up. Any other
Yeah.
final thoughts or anything like that?
So there are just some other types of extinguishers for certain environments. Like UDOT has, probably 500 extinguishers across the state that they have to throw out that they just bought last year because of the salt and the corrosion of it. And with the lowest bidder policy of most governments, you can't buy ones like this that are actually corrosion resistant. So this, you could put it in a little salt bath and it's not going to erode it out. So these are actually great. We got in a bunch of these 7 years ago. They're due for services every 6 to 12 years. They serviced these up into last year. So I actually have a bunch of these with me if you guys wanted to. They're normally $200 because they're the specialized cylinder, but I can do them for 85 while we're here. So
Sweet.
just
Awesome.
got to get rid of them. They're
Okay.
old, so
Sweet.
but they're fantastic. So
That's awesome. I think that's good. We have a giveaway here.
yep, both of those guys.
Okay, so and the giveaway goes to the person who has the closest birthday to today.
July 9.
Anybody can beat July 9? Is that closer? That's closer, isn't it?
Yeah.
May 7th? Okay. Close it's close to today. Regardless, either way. Anyone beat May 7th? Okay, you get it. Awesome.
Nice.
Sweet. There you are. And then Casey, you get to pick the last one. What do you want? Who do you want to give it to for what?
Do you really like the online people? Should we give them one?
We could if they can if we can go online, they'd have to come in and get it. Is that cool? Okay, so online, anybody who has the closest birthday to today, go ahead and name it, but you have to be local to be able to come get it. So a lot of people aren't local.
Oh yeah, that's
And
cheating.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
see what we have. We have any birthdays on there yet, Celeste? April 26th. Anybody better than July 1st? What can somebody do? April wins. Okay, anybody closer on there? Okay, what's the first name of the person who just did April? Gowan. Awesome. Okay,
We're going.
awesome. Okay, you got yourself an extinguisher. Come on into the store if you're local. All right. Awesome. Well, you guys, let's give them a hand. Yay. Good job, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If you guys want to stick around, ask questions, whatever, come on up. If anybody wants to get the $85 extinguisher, and are these the cold fires? Or are
Yeah.
they're in the front? Okay.
These are cold fires as well. I can do it basically however they want. Venmo or cash, I think is actually that's about it. Yeah.
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 Yep. Here.
So part of my question was how long do they last, and do you have to shake them every day? Or
No.
I mean once a month or whatever.
They used to require that you turn them upside down, hit them on the bottom with the mallet. What ended up happening was they were breaking all of the down stems that are within the extinguisher, hitting it with the mallet. So it doesn't hurt it to flip it over, shake it around a little bit, but it's also not necessary because they're 100 plus psi. So once that nitrogen actually hits the bottom of that down tube, it disperses everything. So yeah. So they're due for services for dry chemicals. It's every 6 years and 12 years. The ones like the cold fires are just a one-time use. So anywhere that does fire extinguishers. So we can definitely do that. We have a shop that specializes in it. There are tons of other ones around. If you guys grab my card, I can help refer you. If you guys don't live in town, there are little one-man shops all over the place. I know lots of guys. I'd be happy to refer you to that so you don't have to drive out here, kind of thing. So
And by the way, these are refillable, rechargeable. You can do it as many times as you want.
Schrader valve on the back.
Yep.
This one is, but you can't do it, but places like us can. So you buy the shell, and then it's about $5 a pound for the chemical in it. It's a 5-pounder. So if you go in, you might spend $40, $50 to get it recharged and resealed and the innards changed out. So yeah, if you're buying the ones from Home Depot, like CVS, who else, Costco,
Yeah.
they aren't these same brands. They are not built the same. They are a 6-year max time on the majority of them. So after 6 years, they're technically not good anymore, unless the gauge is green. You didn't hear me say it, but they're probably fine.
And just again to reiterate, these things don't do much at all. This size,
Yeah.
you buy the ones from Costco and you try to put them out a fire out, you don't get very far at all.
Yeah, about a half a pound to 3/4 pound per second.
Yeah.
So, and it's a 2.5 pounder, so it better be a really good shot, because you got 3-4 pounds,
Yeah,
or 3-4
exactly.
seconds to shoot it off.
Exactly.
So, yeah. Any other questions?
Cool. And awesome. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fun stuff. Oh, up here at the desk. Yeah, and some little random clips. And if you see it on here and it doesn't look expensive, you can have it.
I can call you about fire extinguisher or
Yeah.
fire smoke detectors.
Yeah. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm not trying to sell you everything. Like, I'm not paid to be here or anything. I just want to get the education out there. So please feel free to reach out to me. I know all the fire marshals too. So if you guys want a home box and they don't have it set up for your area, tell me, because I can get them set up like I set up Dawn. Gerald has reluctantly agreed to do it because I nagged him for about a year right when he took over. And my grandma lives in Sandy. I live in Sandy. So you can buy them on the website on knoxbox.com. 231. Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay. Murray. I don't remember. So Joey, he will take care of you on it, but they don't have anything set up yet. Murray's on a different keyway through Knox. They're an electronic keyway. Just the key core that they have to put in there is $300. So it's like what was a $230 thing is now $500-$600 thing, and so they've been trying to work out something. But if you get in touch with the fire department, they will make special arrangements for you. He has the best reporting system for dispatch in the state. So yeah, I absolutely recommend talking to them. West Jordan, if they haven't set it up yet, they're ready to with the home box program. And same thing where if you talk to Mike out there, or if you send me an email, I can start up the conversation and we can get something set up for you.
Are they
Yeah.
free or